Can you beat Metroid Dread using only the Grapple Beam? I think it's best to establish what the rules are at the start. While use only grapple sounds like a simple condition, there are a couple minor points to be made before we begin. For one, grapple is not a default weapon for Samus, and we don't own a modded switch to unlock it early. So until grapple is acquired through normal progression, Deve will be playing this like a pacifist or minimum kills run, avoiding killing anything that isn't completely necessary. Second, the use of grapple only applies to combat scenarios. Things like opening doors, activating switches, exploding walls can be done with any method available. We try to prioritize grapple for these in the full run, available in the upper right now, or linked in the description, but it's not our top priority to exclusively use it for such things. Thirdly, Grapple Beam does not do damage to quite a few enemies in this game. It is Samus' weakest tool, equal in power to your unupgraded shots at the start of the game, and it gets deflected by things with metal or shielding. We do show an attempt to hit such enemies with the grapple before using other methods available to take such enemies out. That concludes the weird things to note before the action. Let us finally begin. Typically, Samus would encounter the slightly broken Emmy number 1 at the beginning, but Deve opts to skip this moment by using a pseudo wave here to continue moving leftward and enter the first active Emmy zone. Some light platforming later, we escape the Emmy and continue onward, acquiring our first upgrade in Missile Tank. That should not be as funny as it is, to be honestly. Continuing. We travel through a fair amount of rooms before coming to the charge beam upgrade, allowing us to open charge doors. We snag an energy tank upgrade and progress to the first central unit. We don't own grapple as of now, so both missiles and normal beams are allowed during this fight. Don't expect that to change later, they're metal. The central unit does go down, granting Samus access to the Omega Blaster and Omega Stream, needed to defeat the mostly indestructible Emmy. One short standoff later, we acquire Spider Magnet, allowing us to reach the first major boss fight, Scorpius. We still don't own grapple, so charge shots and missiles it is. Deve is attempting to get quick charges, which are exactly what they sound like. Scorpius can only take damage to its face and its tail when it's glowing. One slightly scuffed boss fight later, we receive the Phantom Cloak Aeon ability, making us able to go invisible. More than a few minutes pass before we get to use our new tool on the Lime Emmy, followed by draining a pool of lava, grabbing another handy energy tank, and hitching a train ride to the location of the rave room. Powering the generator may kill the vibe, but it does allow us to reach the wide beam upgrade, which we need, for this door in particular, to reach Slime's central unit, which is easily taken out by our slightly stronger weaponry. One close encounter with the Robot of Death, and Samus gets the Morph Ball, allowing her to become very small and round. Another missile tank along the way, Samus eventually makes it to the room containing the Varia suit, a vibrant orange and yellow outfit that resists heat. About 5 minutes later, we come to the sequence break for early grapple, which is just a small, slightly tough midair jump over lava. That 100% kills you if you mess it up. No pressure. A quick elevator ride leads to the long-awaited grapple beam, allowing Deve to no longer be a pacifist. You can tell he's been dying to kill things. He even hits up this robot, which is immune. While we are already away from the main pathing of the game, he also retrieves early bombs before venturing off to fight Kraid. Phase 1 only takes damage to his mouth, which is immune to grapple. The projectiles are not immune, but take way too many shots to destroy. Early bombs make Phase 2 a complete joke. We grab Diffusion and stealthily make our way through Dairon to the tranquil, watery Barenia where Flash Shift awaits us. Some light mashing allows us to grab another E-Tank with our new ability. Back in Dairon, another central unit fight ensues. The outer shell is metal and therefore immune to Grapple Beam. Would you look at that? The core is also immune to grapple. One quick kill on Speed Emmy later, we have Speed Booster, which we will have to use with caution, as Speed Booster causes catastrophic damage to enemies on contact, killing most of them instantly. Taking an elevator to Ferenia, we face our first Chozo robot, who, surprise surprise, is immune to grapple. Deve opts to go for a Shine Spark KO on this one. Another trip to Barenia finds us using a pseudo wave to skip Water Boss, which, like Kraid, is immune to grapple damage anyhow, and also an all-around annoying boss to face. We hitch a ride to Gaveron where we come face to face with a more powerful Gold Chozo robot. Yep, still infected by grapple, so all options are open. A short trek later, super missiles are acquired. Catching a train to Elune nets us the Plasma Beam, a drawn-out encounter with a boss door, as well as a battle with a spear-wielding Chozo warrior, our first boss to actually take damage from the Grapple Beam. You'll notice as he's fighting, he tries to stand as close to the warrior as possible. The Grapple Beam's DPS is very reliant on the distance between Samus and her target, as the beam must travel from Samus to the target and then back again before it can be fired another time. Several minutes of mashing later, the warrior is defeated, allowing us to return to Gaveron and confront the next central unit, belonging to the blue Ice Emmy, who suffers the same fate Speed Emmy did. Collecting ice missiles, we then head out to a teleporter back to Barenia to find the gravity suit. Allowing Samus to withstand all temperatures and also move at a normal pace in water. Making a return to the now frozen Artaria leads to the red variant of the Chozo warrior, and also the game being kinda dumb. Before jumping into the fight, we can see Samus' arm cannon has grapple engaged. Deve even shoots it a few times before the transition. When he loads in and lands, the arm cannon is green, even though he never stopped holding the grapple input. When he stops smashing Y, it instantly becomes blue again. So yeah, that's a reset moment. He seriously considered restarting the run, but we ultimately decided that this creates an opportunity for a better revenge run potentially in the future, and continued on. The second time around, he hesitates, and when watching it in slow motion, you can see the arm cannon doesn't turn blue until Samus reaches the ground, even though he's holding ZR the entire time. The first time he had begun pressing Y while still in the air, causing normal shots to fire. I would love to say that the second time was the run, but yeah. Red adjusted its firing angle and well, third time's the charm? Visiting Cataris for the first time in a while brings us another extremely resilient door. Seriously, this took 24 seconds to knock out. Grapple is not a strong weapon. Experiment now stands. Hang. Appears. We'll go with that. Appears before us. And would you believe it? It's also unaffected by grapple. Shocking, I know. Several charge shots and a well-timed counter lead us to a cutscene interaction. Now, its claws actually can be damaged by grapple. However, these do not affect Experiment's health bar if it could be displayed. As it would turn out, the claws are actually restoring Experiment's health in this moment, and taking them out only slows the HP recovery. It doesn't actually hurt the boss itself. Kinda wild. One insanely powerful Shine Spark later, Experiment is no more. A quick dip in some lava, we take a teleport back to Artaria for another dangerous upgrade, Screw Attack, which turns our jumps into a large ball of painful energy. A long journey back to Gavaron has Deve fighting this non-boss enemy for literally 48 seconds, just so he won't kill it with Speed Booster getting to the area upstairs. Sometimes the journey is more difficult than the bosses. Passing another test of endurance, Samus meets Bolzuna. The first phase is grappleable, going down significantly faster than the previous two enemies. Phase 2 is slightly more involved, but still fully capable of being damaged. The dance of a slow and no doubt painful death. Phase 3 is armored, so no more Grapple Beam. Instead, it gets frosty missiles up its tushy. That doesn't sound like a good time, I'm gonna be honest. Bolzuna eventually transforms into a Core X, which will grant Samus Healing X upon contact with the grapple, but it doesn't take damage from it. Destroying the core releases Frost Bombs. Several minutes later, over in Ferenia, we face the next boss, SQ, who is also immune to our grapple. You know, I'm getting the feeling the devs didn't expect you to use grapple for combat. SQ then gets screwed to death along with the X4, granting us the Storm Missile ability, which opens the way to a double trouble scenario with Chozo robots that gets disassembled pretty quick. Samus acquires the space jump, allowing for infinite verticality with decent timing, then crosses the wave enemy zone to fight its central unit in the shortest fight yet. One slightly off-timed quick kill on Purple Emmy, and we have the Wave Beam upgrade. An elevator takes Samus to Hanubia, where we face another Red Chozo warrior. Luckily, nothing goes wrong this time around. After 4.5 minutes of mashing, the Red Warrior is absorbed by Samus. The final Emmy's central unit then implodes, giving us the Power Bomb upgrade for free. We are required to use power bombs in the next room to proceed, so there are some casualties not grappled. But hey, they were robots, so grapple wouldn't work anyhow. Final mini-boss time sees the golden variant of the Chozo warrior. one of the only moments where grapple is actually utilized in a boss fight, as a second step in removing this guy's shield. Other than that small detail, the fight is the same as Red Chozo, just with a bunch more health. This fight took 8 minutes of mashing and occurred only 2 minutes after the Red Warrior fight. Deve's hands were killing him at this point, but it's not over. One final obstacle remains up in Itorash, Ravenbeak. Phase 1 actually has a shield around him. You'll notice Ravenbeak doesn't turn white when attacked. Instead, the blue aura around him jumps when contact is made. The more times it is hit, the more purple and then red this aura becomes. It turns out Ravenbeaks can only receive health damage when countered during this phase. Also, the counter interaction doesn't allow for the Grapple Beam to be used, making it impossible to defeat Ravenbeak's first phase with the Grapple Beam. We did find a weird instance at the start of the counter where Grapple can be used for a single shot, but after more than 2 hours of single shot grappling him, we decided for the sake of our sanity and the fact it would more than double the run's time, this would not be worth doing. Instead voting that Phase 1 is free to be defeated by any means necessary. Phase 2 loses the shielding and puts Ravenbeak in flight. He is free to be grappled between attacks, although it will take a while to get through this phase, as it has 22,000 health. He does eventually fall, losing his wings and entering Phase 3, which adds a solar flare move that we can't destroy with power bombs, as that would damage Ravenbeak as well. Instead having to spend time dodging the waves as he tries to high power laser us. Luckily, he does melee counters on a regular basis during this phase, allowing the regeneration of health, or this would be basically impossible. As we can damage him with grapple in this phase, Deve does not follow up on any of the melee counters, as again, grapple is not usable in those scenes. The back and forth eventually ends, with Ravenbeak becoming a hideous monster and Samus transforming into a Metroid. After returning the laser treatment, Ravenbeak is destroyed and the classic Metroid escape sequence ensues. At this point, we don't even own the Grapple Beam, so we can skip this. Thanks! Reaching our ship and finally defeating Metroid Dread with only Grapple Beam where possible. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like and consider subscribing. Our previous challenge is available on screen. You might like that one too.